Mikhail Gorbachev. The man with a contested legacy breathed his last on Tuesday. 4 days later, scores of mourners gathered outside Russia's historic Hall of Pillars to pay their respects to the last Soviet leader. Dignitaries from many countries came in to bid farewell as United Nations chief hailed Gorbachev as one of a kind statesman. In attendance were the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orban, and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev. Former advisor to the former U.S. President Ronald Reagan, Susanna Massey, also paid her respects to Gorbachev in Moscow. However, Russian President Vladimir Putin was notably absent from the funeral. The official statement from Kremlin says Putin would not attend the ceremony due to his work schedule. Earlier on Thursday, Russian state media showed Putin placing red roses beside Gorbachev's coffin in Moscow's Central Clinical Hospital. Putin was seen standing alone in silence for a few moments before he bowed his head, touched the coffin, crossed himself, and walked away. But the pressing question still remains. Is the Russian president too busy to attend the funeral of the last Soviet leader? The West hails Gorbachev for bringing a peaceful end to the Cold War and a free and open Russia. However, Putin earlier declared the fall of the Soviet Union as the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the century. It comes as no surprise that the Putin-Gorbachev relationship was fraught with unease for long. Reports say Gorbachev was not happy about Russia's war in Ukraine either, even as he supported Russia's annexation of Crimea. The common perception about Gorbachev's legacy in Russian minds is also mixed. While the liberal Russians revere the last Soviet leader for bringing reforms, others blame him for the fall of Soviet empire. Well, our next report tells you all about Mikhail Gorbachev's life and legacy.
He was one of the world's greatest peacemakers. The man who ended the Cold War, brought down the Iron Curtain, and changed the course of history. But for all his feats and achievements, he was a figure reviled at home. This is the story of Mikhail Gorbachev, the last leader of the Soviet Union. On Wednesday, he passed away at the age of 91. He was suffering from a long illness. As tributes pour in from the world over, let's revisit this man's remarkable story and the legacy he leaves behind. Born in 1931, Gorbachev was the son of peasants. As a teenager, he worked at a state farm and drove a combine harvester. At the age of 19, he helped his father harvest a record crop and won the Order of the Red Banner of Labor. This was a state award for great service to society, also an unusual honor for someone his age. It was this award, coupled with his intelligence, which helped Gorbachev secure a place at the Moscow State University. 2 years later, at the age of 21, he joined the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. This was just the beginning of a long association. In 1970, he became the first Secretary for Agriculture. In 1972, a member of the party's Central Committee. In 1974, a representative to the Supreme Soviet. 11 years and countless promotions later, he became the General Secretary of the Communist Party, the de facto ruler of the Soviet Union. Gorbachev was just 54 at the time, and the USSR was a stagnating power. Its economy was on its deathbed. The social order was collapsing. So when Gorbachev took power, he unleashed two major reforms. The first was glasnost, or openness, a policy of free speech. It allowed people to criticize the state, something that was previously unthinkable. The second policy was perestroika, or restructuring, a state program to open up the economy and put it on par with the capitalist West.
We need more enterprise, more democracy, more organization and discipline. Then we will be able to bring perestroika or restructuring up to full speed and give new impetus to developing socialism.
These policies modernized the Soviet Union, but also proved to be the regime's undoing. They emboldened nationalists to push for independence. Even on the foreign policy front, Gorbachev's policies were met with scorn by many Russians, like the negotiation of arms reduction treaties with the US, the decision to reduce Warsaw Pact forces in Europe, and the withdrawal of Soviet troops from Afghanistan. Thanks to these moves, he was revered in the West, but reviled at home. The West hailed him as a man they could reason and do business with. But Russians saw him as the personification of instability and decline. With their newfound freedom to criticize the state, they blamed Gorbachev for ruining the Soviet might, villainized him for befriending Western leaders. The subsequent fall of the Berlin Wall and the independence of Soviet republics only sealed his downfall. In 1991, after a shambolically organized coup, Mikhail Gorbachev stepped down from power and agreed to dissolve the Soviet Union.
In this situation, which follows the establishment of the Commonwealth of Independent States, I hereby cease to act as the President of the Soviet Union.
In the years that followed, Gorbachev became a diminished figure. He withdrew from public life and wrote books on his time and days. As a new and fiery Russian leader turned back on everything Gorbachev had envisioned his country to be, but his ties with the West did not wither. This 1998 Pizza Hut commercial gives you an idea. The former Soviet leader promoted the brand in what many called Gorbachev's most vocal show of support for capitalism. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Sometimes nothing brings people together like a...
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.